Greetings from low Earth orbit. This is episode 377 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I will turn off our slide and introduce two of the best people ever. Maybe the best two. Not sure.
Yep.
Chris, Rob?
Among the best two, for sure. Yeah.
I am one of two, Chris DeBona, coming in from another place in lower Earth orbit.
And I'm Rob Roseboom.
Gentlemen, I know the question that we've all been asking. What is the maximum throughput in bits per second of human speech?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
69 or 39 or something?
Like 39.15 or something?
Mm-hmm. That's bits, not bytes, right?
Bits.
Right.
It was bits.
Right.
It's not megabits. It's not gigabits. It's not terabits, petabits. It's bits.
Yeah.
Did you read the article?
No, I didn't read it.
It's actually really interesting.
It is really interesting. Yeah.
They broke down a bunch of languages and they talked about how German uses relatively few words and syllables to express things, but other languages use way more syllables and words, so it sounds like they're talking faster. But then they actually quantified it, broke it down, and it turns out that basically no matter what language you're speaking, they all sort of coalesce around about 39 bits per second in terms of the amount of information that they're capable of conveying. And they conjecture then that this is probably tied to like the processing capacity of the brain to either create or comprehend language. It's really interesting.
Yeah. For example, they talk about how Italian is a very quickly spoken language, but it's not as precise as some other languages. So the amount of information you're able to convey to someone ends up being the same as a language that's spoken slower.
Go ahead, Laggy.
Sorry, I'm far away in space in time. So all I was going to say is this is a perfect time for me to invoke my Sicilian heritage and make it's a Mario, I like it's a pizza. Or those kinds of jokes, because Italian is clearly a more efficient language. But what I was going to ask is, did the article talk about Esperanto or any of the FACO languages? Or like Navajo code talkers? They must have talked about Navajo code talkers.
They did not. But I bet you that if they did the math, that it would probably work out pretty darn close. But they also did comment how, I mean, this obviously isn't a fixed thing, because you can listen to a podcast at 120% speed and still generally understand without any problem with you can comprehend that just fine. But it's just, for whatever reasons, humans have figured out that this is about how fast we should communicate. You know, you can talk a little fast. I tend to talk a little faster after the third or fourth cup of coffee. But we're still all going to basically communicate at the same rate, which kind of makes sense. It's weird, but
yeah,
it's kind of shocking to me that it's 2019 and only now has somebody actually like done that research.
They also get a little bit into the divide that linguists have of language as math versus language as art. That's kind of interesting. So
I'd imagine
it's a really interesting article.
Like linguists at their conferences, they probably have these like terrible fights.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're Lilliputian, left-handed, right-handed fights, just like nerds do.
Right. There's knife fights over Oxford commas.
Listen, that's just that's important, and I don't want to hear. No.
I put up on the Taco Zone a new Lego Star Destroyer. I'm super excited. It's almost 5,000 pieces. Chris, I don't know that you've ever seen my Lego collection, but I have the Star Wars the Executor. And I have the original Millennium Falcon, the 5,000 piece Millennium Falcon. And in my closet, I have the new giant 5,500 piece Millennium Falcon. So all I'm saying is, Christmas is coming, and
that thing is a monster.
It's amazing.
So let me ask you something. So it says it's kit 75252. Is that the number of pieces?
No, that's the part number.
Yeah.
No, it's 5,000 pieces?
It's just short of 5,000. It's not their biggest set. The biggest set, I think, continues to be the whatever last year, 2 years ago, Millennium Falcon.
They had that crazy one.
Yeah, that thing is sweet. It's in my closet. I'm gonna build it. I'm saving it for when I have a massive bout of depression. I'm going to rip that bad boy out. I'm going to lock myself in my office with a case of beer, and I'm going to build Lego until I stop being sad.
So we did get that one and built it at a conference. We had it on the table and just let everyone just build it. And then at the end of the conference, Brian Fitzpatrick put it on a pedestal and knocked it over. And
nice.
Boom.
I built the original Millennium Falcon, the first version of it, the 5,000 piecer. But I bricklinked it. I bought every single part off of the internet individually because the set had been discontinued like 5 or 6 years earlier. And it ended up costing me about what you would expect. I mean, not that dissimilar from what the set actually cost when it was new. And it ended up being like this ludicrous organization project. I had multiple spreadsheets tracking all the parts. Like I need these parts, and like these are the different places I can buy 6 of this part and 4 of this part. And it like for somebody who has a touch of the obsessive compulsive, it was a tremendously satisfying project. But the new one is actually on shelves. It is better, and you can just buy the box, which seems a heck of a lot easier because that thing, start to finish, took me over 3 months to get all the parts. And actually, it was a project. It was super fun.
Yeah, I got obsessed with the little light cycle. Build your own Lego.
Yeah.
And get assemble parts from sets that have been shipped for years. And it's something.
So did you see the story I put up there about Tetris Randomizers? This is a subject I had never known anything about, never crossed my mind to think about it, but it's actually really interesting. They talk about like 4 different generations of the algorithms that are used goodbye, Chris. The algorithms that they use in Tetris to select the pieces. Hello again. Are you still lagging?
That was my own fault. I was trying to Control-Shift-T the Taco Zone page, and I Control-W'd this page in the process. So
nicely done.
And T and W are not near each other on the keyboard. I
understand. The very first version of Tetris straight up just chose a random piece. 1 out of 7 pieces chose the next piece, which, as any player of Tetris knows, leads you to too many of those alternate Z pieces in a row, and the notion of the drought while you're waiting for the long line piece. And then they proceed to talk about the different algorithms that they use, and they break them down in terms of stopping flooding of the same piece, stopping droughts of the missing piece, and then like the puzzle ability. One of the algorithms that they used, which was pretty neat, was they had the notion of a bag where they would put either 7 or 14 pieces in the bag, and they would draw from the bag until the bag was empty. So you knew if you got 14 pieces, you knew that you would get 2 lines in those 14 pieces. The problem with that is that actually ruined the puzzle component to the game, because you could start thinking, well, I haven't had a line in 7 pieces, so I know that I have to get a line in my next 5 pieces, and like you would have to make strategic decisions about that. It's worth reading just because it's a subject I had never thought about.
It's really neat.
So the other one that I had, and I'm actually a little bummed because I don't have Nate or Jeff here today, but it was Michael's documentary on us.
Well, it's really not about me and Rob here. So you should save this for when Nate and Jeff are here.
That's fair. Reminisce.
We answered some emails, about this. It's okay. You should soak in it, is what I'm saying.
Soak in it. I watched the thing. I watched a rough cut of it like a month ago, and felt super awkward about it then. I think I told Rob on the boat this, but I basically had a panic attack halfway through. I had to turn it off and couldn't watch the rest of it for a couple of days because it just felt so weird. But I got over that. And the good thing is that the second half of the video is all about everything too. And I don't have a weird emotional attachment to E2 in the way that I do Slashdot or even Everything One. Those things were in some way, shape, or form my offspring, and the E2 was like my cousin.
Yeah, it was kissing cousins. But the Pearl Monks, that was we all got our photos taken for that, but I didn't do anything on it, so yeah.
No, that was really Tim's baby.
That was Tim's thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Vroom.
Mr. Vroom. I haven't talked to Tim in a couple of months, actually, or maybe a year. I need to say hello to that.
It was nice to see Chromatic in the video.
Right?
You know,
that's a guy who does not get sung enough praises.
What a neat guy he is. You know, I always really liked hanging around him and talking with him.
Yeah, the original.
I about him like he's dead, you know, but he's not. He's very much alive. But
yeah, I felt like there needed to be a little more Chromatic and a little more Jay Bonzi in those in that stuff, and
they just really wanted to focus on you, Rob. It was about you, Rob.
I was barely in that thing, which for my money is the right amount of me. The one thing I will say, I cracked a joke in like the last 30 seconds of it. I said something to the effect of, we invented podcasts, we invented the like button, and I listed just a bunch of stupid
things. I remember it,
yeah. And he cuts, he cut there to another shot and then comes back. But the cut, when I was watching this, like, oh no, he's going to leave it. And it's looking like I'm actually saying this with a straight face. And then he comes back to me like 30 seconds later, like 10 seconds later, and at least makes it clear that in the context of when I was saying that, I was kidding. I don't actually seriously mean these things.
Listen, you don't have to sugarcoat it. I mean, there was never a threaded conversation like that. Everything predated Wikipedia. I mean, you would have been Wikipedia if it wasn't for the restriction on outgoing links. I mean, and the colonization by certain sexual communities. You know, so it's like, I don't mean this in a weird way, but you kind of did. I mean, this podcast has been going on for 22 years.
That's right.
You know, I mean, we started this
episodes without interruption.
I mean, we used to call it internet radio. We used to call it this. We used to call it that. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, did you have to have an iPod before you could call it a podcast? I mean, is that the defining moment?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. It's okay to take some freaking credit.
I have a lot of credit. I've got my share of credit. I always take more, but I am awkward. That sentence in particular, out of context,
I know,
really awkward.
Yeah, when it came out, I was like, you know, this doesn't really sound like Rob, but you know, but I could see the smile, I could hear the laugh. So
and he brought it back like 10 seconds later. There was another shot from the same minute long rant. So I did not feel as much shame. But like in that moment, I was just like, oh no. please don't edit it like that. No.
It does make me want to donate a microphone to the guy, though. It's like,
yeah, his technical skills. Michael's a good guy, but it was not I realized that when he had set the camera up in my office, like he had it pointing like at the garbage can in the corner and stuff. I was just like, you know, you could have framed your shot a little.
Still, it was good to see some of those people and to walk down memory lane a little bit.
It was really
being around while all that stuff was going on. You know.
Yeah,
it was good.
I was surprised to not see more of Rob Roseboom here. So, you know.
I mean, Rob, you didn't really start working for us until like 2000, right?
Yeah, something like that.
As you started working,
I haven't seen Kurt though. God.
And I didn't have anything to do really with E2 other than, you know, writing a few write-ups and stuff like that.
Anyway, yeah, I'll leave that on the menu to talk to with Nate and Jeff sometime when they're both on the line. But oh dear God, I had a couple of. I watched the first 2 episodes of Dark Crystal. Has anybody got there yet?
So a friend of mine gave me a review. I have to admit, I'm singularly uninterested in it. Did you like it? You know, it's a Brexit metaphor, right?
Oh, great.
Well, everything is. But so you have a crystal, and there's like this shard left. And the shard is the potential to recover the world from darkness and evil and all the rest, right? What it really is so the full crystal was the European Union. And then the shard was the
whoa, Chris, it just seems like you're lagging out. This is weird. I don't know how that's happening. Just so much lag.
And the crystal is the full deal Brexit, where they can't be part of the main crystal anymore, but they have a deal in place.
Wow.
But if they fail, and the crystal continues to be darkness. That's the no deal Brexit.
We're going really far down metaphor road, aren't we?
Yep.
Well, and the shape of the dark crystal people's faces is very, I don't know, Belgian.
What?
Yeah. I was going to watch a couple episodes last night, but instead I watched The Dead Won't Die.
How was that?
Or Don't Die, rather.
I'm curious what you think.
I'm not really sure that we needed an absurdist zombie movie.
Totally.
Parts of it were kind of funny. I just think it was trying to be more clever than it really was.
Yep.
And I like absurd comedy from Monty Python, and just about no one else really I found. So
they pulled a couple of really great things. So this movie's been out for a while now, so I'm gonna just spoil it with reckless abandon. But when they start referring to the script and the director and like getting super meta about what's happening, I was ready to die. That was so funny. I feel like Dark Crystal is missable. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I don't know. I'm like a quarter second behind. So there was a great movie. It was good.
It was a movie.
Great. Called Only Lovers Left Alive. And it had Tom Hiddleston and it had, I think, Tilda Swinton or one of those.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. And it was like an art house vampire movie.
Yeah.
And it was I actually liked it quite a bit.
It's dark.
So like when I heard about, this art house zombie movie, I'm like, good. So I was hopeful. But then I also recently saw Anna versus the Apocalypse.
God, that's a masterpiece of fun.
Which was pretty fun. I'm not going to go masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece of fun.
But there was some really great moments. So it's a musical.
Songs are crazy catchy too.
It's a musical zombie movie for
Christmas
for Jake. A musical Christmas zombie movie.
Yeah, it's basically got everything.
It's basically cute teenagers. It's almost like a CW casted thing, but they're actually.
I had that soundtrack in basically repeating loop on my playlist for like a month.
Is that what dethroned Hamilton?
Yeah. It's so fun. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh God. Yeah. What podcast do you think you're on, Mr. Malda?
I'm sorry. It gets after 377 episodes spanning 20 plus years. It gets really hard to keep track.
The first podcast.
The first podcast, the original. Back in my day, we didn't even call them podcasts.
They were just casts.
Yeah, and then we'd hitch an onion to our belt, which was the fashion at the time.
It was just the letter S.
That's right. And we used the letter I in front of things. We didn't do it ironically. I
remember, what was it, episode 172, which was our musical episode?
That's right. It's hard.
Good. Yeah.
It's hard to harmonize when everybody's at a different set of latency. But we've had a lot of really good zombie comedies. Zombieland 2 is coming out in a few weeks, too.
Right. Can't wait. I'll be very excited.
And a personal favorite of mine is Fido.
Jake, that's a great one.
Jake, if you hadn't seen Fido, I suggest you do.
Yeah.
My favorite zombie comedy.
Zomcom.
Yeah. Zomcom.
And iZombie, the TV show, just wrapped up.
Did you see Warm Bodies?
No, that was the Romzom.
Yeah, there you go, Romzom. It absolutely is a Romzom, and it's got the dude who plays Beast in X-Men, and the guy who played Tolkien in that Tolkien movie. Yeah. He's actually like surprisingly good in that movie. Mm-hmm. It's a solid movie for what it is, but it absolutely is like a cheesy romantic comedy that's swinging above its weight class. Yeah. But it's. I mean, I'm a sucker for a zombie movie.
So I didn't see it. I wanted to see it, but I could never just get myself to see it. So is it the boy that's the zombie or the girl? Because if it's the girl, it's just like a reaffirmation of guys will literally put their in anything, So
no, the boy is a zombie, but it's very much in the vein of like, I don't know, I'm not like the Maze Runner, but what was the other one that came out where they're in Chicago and they like all have like it's a YA movie with Shailene Woodley in it. Divergent.
Yeah.
That is not good.
No, it's a train wreck. But it kind of had a vibe a little bit like that for me. But you know, with zombies, and I'm in for zombies almost every time.
Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live parody of all the Maze Runner, Hunger Games movies? It was like just a commercial for it. It was
They're
really
all
funny.
distinguishable.
Oh no, well, it's just yeah, and like I'm gonna link to it in the description below because it's so much fun. Because it's so dumb. It's just so dumb. It's so perfectly dumb.
I don't know. I'm a sucker for it. Oh, I watched I watched Dark Phoenix again yesterday.
Why? I haven't even watched it one time.
That's the right number to have watched it, is not once.
Yeah, I caught it this weekend too, or this past weekend.
I will say, you know, the first
What is
hour
Michigan doing?
is fine. It's the last hour. Like once they get off Magneto's island, that whole movie just goes to like it's not good up until that point.
No,
but
it's
after that
awful.
point, it's just unwatchably bad.
Well, the original storyline, I mean, it seems like it's one that Marvel wants people to like, but not a lot of people liked it even when it was in the comic book. And if you're going to have the storyline, you need to give it some time. You know, it has to be over several episodes, and because otherwise you just don't give a shit. And that's what I thought watching it. Who cares?
I mean, so when Famke Janssen was entering her Darker Phoenix phase in the original 3 series, you know, I liked, you know, we already met her over a couple of episodes, and there was the whole Wolverine side boyfriend thing with her, and you know, I kind of care. And she's Famke Janssen, so of course I like her a lot more. I mean, Taken, right? Anyway, so, and she was also in the TV version of Birds of Prey like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So Famke Janssen in superhero movies are like, you know, bread and butter, right? Peas and carrots. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that.
It's all good. My problem, the fundamental problem with X-Men, besides all the writing problem, Sophie Turner is just not a lead actress. She's just not a lead actress. The sooner Hollywood figures out that she is not, fine, you want to have her be a supporting role, fine. She can't carry a film.
I don't know.
So I know we've talked about this many times in the past, but you are, as I have an affinity for zombie movies, I also have an affinity for any movie even remotely connected to time travel. And she is in a truly terrible time travel movie.
Which one?
It's like called Time Twist or Time Trip. We'll have to get it on IMDb. It might. I don't know that it ever made it into theaters. It's got you'll recognize like everybody in it, but it's like this no budget time travel thing, and like the premise is actually really cool, and every time that woman walks onto the screen, you are just like, okay, now I have to watch you talk now. And I don't believe a word you say because you are a bad actress.
So they had a wooden board with a balloon on top of it, and her people got upset because it was upstaging her.
Have you ever seen the like behind the scenes footage of the filming of Star Wars Episode 1 where they've got Ahmed Best wearing the hat with Jar Jar Binks's eyes on top? I feel like whenever anybody acts with her, they are looking at the fake Jar Jar Binks eyes and unable to like emote in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, she sort of sucks the acting out of other actors.
Yeah,
she's like an acting skills vampire. But then she doesn't articulate those skills. So it's not like she just sucks them in. She doesn't emote them, you know? So
what I would want to is that the first, the whole thing with the space shuttle, I like that. That whole sequence is fine. It's enjoyable. But there is a moment where they come back to Xavier's Academy or whatever after they have the big space shuttle rescue. And the first thing they do is the whole team walks in, all the X-Men walk into the room, and all the kids cheer, hooray, the heroic X-Men have returned from their heroic adventure. And the first thing that happens is Mystique transforms back into Jennifer Lawrence from her blue face, which is exactly the opposite of everything that they have developed with that iteration of that character for all of her movies. Every time that she's been on screen, it's been mutant pride. I'm going to be blue and out and like blue, blue, blue. And the first thing you do when you get to what is theoretically the safest environment imaginable, your home, surrounded by fellow mutants, you turn into Jennifer Lawrence. That is an actress who doesn't want to sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours. And the price of it is that your character now is BS. And when your character dies in some sort of, I don't know, second act finale, I'm going to just be thankful.
Yeah. And honestly, Jennifer Lawrence, when she's wearing Blueface or whatever, it's like, couldn't that just be done with like a PS2 now? I mean, does she need to sit in a chair for 2 hours? And then you have the question of digital rights versus the thing I wanted to ask you about, Rob, is in your time travel weakness, do you consider Clockstoppers a time travel movie or a time pausing movie? I liked the movie, right? Because I'm a sucker for that kind of movie.
I'm in for any movie that manipulates time. I'm in. I will watch it.
Okay.
And what about Groundhog Day?
Oh, yeah. Or the Groundhog Day genre.
But there's a whole genre for day loopers, like Happy Death Day. Both of those are super fun. I mean, I'm a sucker for the day looping,
that kind of thing. Yeah,
I'll watch them all. Sign me up. There was another one, a super low budget special effects movie where they go into a cave, Time Trap. They go into a cave.
Is that no? Wait. Is this like from the 70s? The one with the motorcycle guy on the cover?
No, this is new.
It was also done
like 2 years ago.
Time Twister. He had like 4 names, but it was like about a time traveling mummy person who has like the salt powers from Star Trek. This was a classic. It showed on Cinemax and HBO like all the time. It was so bad.
Or the movie about finding the movie about finding the perfect drink called Time Bar. And
are you making that up?
I'm absolutely making that up.
But the fact filmed this movie.
The fact that you had to ask says everything you need to know about the time travel genre.
Yeah.
So Time Trap is awesome because they go into a cave where apparently time slows down, and as they get deeper and deeper into the cave, like weirder and weirder things happen, and they start encountering other people who were trapped in there from other centuries or millennia. And it's got a cool finale. It's one of those movies where the acting is not good enough to live up to it, and the writing is not good enough to live up to it, but the premise is well executed just enough that it's totally worth watching.
So I saw Primer in the theater. It only played in like 20 theaters, and one of them was just my random theater that I went into.
I think I've seen that movie 7 times now.
And it's the thing about Primer is it's the same problem as we talked about earlier, is the microphone work almost kills it. I mean, because it's such a good movie, it gets past the completely incompetent lighting and microphone work.
Yep.
You know, and
that movie also makes Clerks look like it was shot on a big budget.
Yeah, right. So
I mean that was seriously like Clerks was like a $20,000 or $30,000 production. I think
I would say spent some money on a microphone.
Yeah, it was like a $1,000 production. So I give them all the credit in the world for that. And I seriously, once a year, I sit down and rewatch Primer. And I download the flow chart from the internet that shows all the overlapping timelines. And I watch it and try to see if I can comprehend it this time and figure out which timeline they're in with every shot. God, that's a great movie.
Well, you've seen then when he's wearing an earphone versus when he's not wearing an earphone for prompts. And it's like, dude. I met the filmmaker. I invited him to an event at the company just because I had to meet him, you know.
Sure.
And he was a neat guy. So
did you see his follow-up thing, which was all about like a magical flower or something?
Upstream Color. Yeah,
that's a hard movie to watch.
Yeah, it is. And he's a talented guy. It's just,
Well, gentlemen, we've squandered another 30 minutes of our lives. I'm going to say farewells and put up the bye-bye slide.
Bye-bye slide.
Thanks for listening to episode 377 of Geeks in Space, the world's first podcast predating the existence of the words pod. Thank you to Chris and Rob for joining me. And hopefully we'll see you guys and maybe more of you guys on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.